Hello, welcome to Undr Town. I'm Luke Gregory. Dave's with me, Batara's with me, and today we are joined by a very special guest, a legend, a Luton legend, a football legend, Mick Harford on Zoom. Mick, how are you?
We're seeing it's a Luton Town podcast. I'd like to get that one in first, and no, I'm fine, thanks. I'm good. Yeah, I'm in good spirits today. I feel good today.
Fantastic.
Thanks for inviting me. It's an absolute pleasure to do anything, and it's great to have a chat with you guys.
It's a pleasure to have you on today, isn't it? Obviously, Dave's been a fan for a long time.
I'm a lot older than you two. Yeah. I've been watching Luton. I've been watching Luton Town since 1970, and I remember you joining the club. And I'm just pleased you're coming on for a chat. Really,
I was going to say you was in tears earlier, weren't you, Dave? Crying, mate.
Well,
I can't believe it.
When I joined Luton all those years ago, it's once it gets in your blood, I totally agree. It sticks there, and I'm a fan of the football club. I'm a fan of the club, absolutely. And it's great being a part of the club.
I just looking sort of through some general research. I know about your career with Luton because I've watched it, and as a manager, I've watched it. But there's nobody I've ever seen say a bad word about yourself. And always, there was one thing saying you was the hardest centre forward in football at one stage, but they called you Mr. Luton in this report I wrote, and I think that sums you up quite well.
I think you're speaking to the wrong people. I think, but no, I don't know. I'm just really happy and pleased to be associated with such a great club, and I say that. It's a fantastic club. Where we are at the moment is great. I've been associated with the football club for a long time. I've been associated with the town for a long time, and when I moved down here in the early 80s, my son was born very shortly after that, and my son was born in Luton, so he's a Lutonian, and I feel part of the town and a part of the culture, in all fairness. I'll never leave the area now. I'll always live down here till my dying days, hopefully. And I've got Luton in my blood, and I've got lots and lots of friends in the town and in the surrounding areas, and it's been a massive part of my life, and total respect for the football club and the town. Yes.
Yeah. For me, the football club is something that I really look forward to going to. I think it's a real family atmosphere down there now. And I think that we are a good club like that. We do look after. It seems to me that everyone in the club is bonded. Do you know what I mean by that? Where
that togetherness, isn't it?
Togetherness. That's a good word. Yeah, togetherness.
Well, it's never easy to do that in a football club, especially as we're growing and we're building, and we have a hell of a lot more staff now at the football club in administration and obviously the football side of it, and it takes a lot of building. Gary endears that in his recruitment, and that's part of his recruitment, to make sure you buy into what the football club's all about. Every football player we buy or bring into the football club on the football side of it, Nathan absolutely makes sure he buys into the culture of this football club and the structure of what it's all about, and thankfully it's working at the moment.
When you talk about Nathan there, people buying into that, to when he sells it, what sold Luton to you when you was first approached? Was it by David Pleat? What brought you to the town? What made you go? What made you think about that?
Well, it didn't take long, because I met David Pleat. I'll never forget the day I met him. We drove to David Evans's house along in Macrae End, and we drove along the Lower Luton Road. I don't know if you know the Lower Luton Road.
Yeah.
And Pleat was the worst drive I've ever been in the car. Hitting those edges, and I was shitting myself, in all fairness. I don't know how we got through that drive. And when we got to David Evans's house, we sat down, we had a chat, and he told me what the process of what he was trying to do, the manager and the chairman, in terms of bringing players in. Bringing Peter Nicholas in, just bought Steve Foster, bringing David Priest in, and myself, and tying them with the great players that were already there, the likes of Mal Donaghy, Brian Steen, Ricky Hill, to name but a few, Wayne Turner, Tim Brigger, Mitchell Thomas. Some really, really, really good players, and they were building a new football team and building a club, and I was just delighted to be part of it. And I mean, in those 80s, Luton was a place to be in terms of football, because on our day we could beat anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I would turn up at Kenny and think we're going to win today. Didn't matter who to turn up. Whether it be Man United, Liverpool, didn't matter. I felt we could beat them all the time. I also thought in them days that you could win the FA Cup as well, things like that.
But even as a younger Luton fan, like me and Batara, we hear these names. No, but we hear these names, and it's like you know that these guys were
the real deal.
The real deal.
I think in sort of, I'm going to say our age group, Mick, if you don't mind. There were some real classic players for Luton Town. They were real legends. Every one of them, was brilliant. You couldn't really pick anybody out and go, oh well, they shouldn't be in the team. They were all good. I remember that in the 80s a lot. Not so much the 70s.
When I used to, we know about Luton. I scored for Newcastle at Luton when Luton were in what is now the Championship, was Division 2, and we won 1-0. How we won 1-0, I don't know, because we got murdered, and the style of play they played was excellent. And Luton was a team with fantastic players in, and I've said this a few times with Ricky Hill, Brian Steen, all kinds of skillful players, and they'd win 3-0 or get beat 4-2 or win 5-2, and that's not the way. It's obviously it's entertaining for the fans. It's great to see. It's great to watch. But what happened then was Luton were down the bottom of the league, and it looked like they were going to get relegated, and they just needed a bit of steel and a bit of they just needed a core. And what happened was Chairman and David Pleat brought in myself, Fozzie, and Peter Nicholas, but we still had that flair players in Brian Steen and Ricky Hill and Gary Parker and Mitchell Thomas, Tim Breaker, who had energy to get up and down the pitch, and Emma Joby, Mark Steen, really, really, really good players, really good footballers. But then what happened was we started winning 1-0 and 2-0 and winning games, and I think people thought the people in the dressing room, the Brian Steens and the Ricky Hills and Mitchell Thomas, because Fozzie was the key, Steve Foster was the key.
Yeah.
He wouldn't let Tim Brigger and Mitchell Thomas bomb up the pitch every 2 minutes and get caught out, and he ended up 1-0 down after 5-10 minutes. We'd start from a solid base. We'd have a nice back four in place, play a certain way, try and get on top. Then when it was time to attack, Fozzie would let them go and all that, So there was a real structure there, allied by the actual skillful players who were absolutely wonderful, wonderful players. But because the way David Pleat wanted to play style of football, he had to doctor it a little bit to try and survive in the top league, and we did that excellently well.
We did. And if you were looking back on your sort of football starting career, who was it you probably looked up to? Do you know what made you go, I want to be a professional footballer? When you think about all those good players you've just said about, for me, if I was good enough, I was never good enough at football, but I'd be looking at players like Ricky Hill and yourself and going, I want to do that. I want to do that job. Ricky Hill for me was one of the best players we've had.
Absolutely.
So what made you, when you was younger, what made you go, I want to do that?
Well, you know where I come from. I come from the northeast, and it's a hotbed of football. That's what they say, and that's all we did up there. That's all we did. We played football till morning, till night. Till it got dark and we got called in. We played football at school, and I wanted to be a professional footballer. Never ever thought that I would get the opportunity, and I got an opportunity, and I took it with both hands.
Did somebody scout you or something, or did you just keep pressing to them?
But before I had my idols as well, because I was a big Sunderland fan. When I was growing up, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, I'd watch Sunderland every Saturday or any day I could. They were my team, and I had my idols: Dennis Stewart, Billy Hughes, Mick Harford, who played for Luton, Colin Todd, all those, Jim Baxters, who I saw when I was really young. When I was at the 73 Cup final, that's the first time I ever ventured into London when I was 14 to see them beat Leeds.
What was that like?
at the
What was that like? I remember watching that on the
FA
television.
Cup semi-final. So they were my heroes. They still are my heroes.
Wow.
But that Sunderland team in that era, in the early 70s, they were.
What was it like?
Fanatical.
Mick, what was it like being at Wembley in '73? What was it like being there? Because I remember watching that on the television. That all-day build-up that you had and things like that. And as a young person, I was really excited. I didn't want Leeds to win. I wanted Sunderland to win because they were the underdogs. What was it like being there?
Well, we got the train down at 11 o'clock at night. I was 14, 15, and I came down with my sister, my brother-in-law, and all his friends. And I was in the pubs in Sunderland, carrying all the bags, all the biscuits, and all the sandwiches in. So we come straight out the pub onto the train, and the overnighter down into London, into King's Cross. So as a 14-year-old kid, you can't imagine what it felt like, the excitement that we had. Not just the football match or the FA Cup final that's coming up, going into London and the buzz of that, and it was just a brilliant experience, one I'll never ever forget. The game, obviously, one thing that stood out for me is the goals. Ian Porterfield, who then became my manager at Chelsea.
Wow!
So we used to have great chats about it and all that. Me being a Sunderland fan, and he, and God rest his soul, talking about the cup final in '73, and obviously one of my most vivid memories of football is Jim Montgomery making that double save. Then,
how amazing was that? And you can still watch it. Sorry, mate. You can still watch it back, can't you?
On the pitch at the end of the game, yeah. Bob Stoker on the pitch with the brown mac at the end of the game. These are memories which I'll cherish forever.
Yeah,
Then the best part of it was we went into London, into Trafalgar Square. And I'm absolutely certain I was the first one in the fountains, with the clothes on and diving in the fountains and all that. Then everyone followed. But no, absolutely great memories. That was part of the reason why I wanted to be a footballer. Then I played for a youth team called Lambton Street Boys Club. We were quite a special team in Sunderland. We had some really good players. About 7, 8, 9 of the lads went on to be professional footballers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Our manager, Norman Alder, was friends with a player at Lincoln City, and he just said, look, his name was Alan Harding. He said, Alan, I got some players up here you need to have a look at. And, being the good manager he was, Graham Taylor, he came up and watched us play, and he signed 3 of us.
Wow.
So, Mick,
Sorry, 4 of us. He signed 4 of us.
So I'm going to jump in a second. I've got a quick question for you. Have you always played as a striker from a young boy, or is there any other positions that you played at all? Centre half, maybe?
No. When I was in the boys' club, I was a midfield player. I signed for Lincoln as a midfield player. That was my position. That's what I thought it was going to be. Technically, I was okay, but they converted me into centre forward. Colin Murphy converted me into centre forward at Lincoln, and I stayed there for the rest of my career until the latter days when I was at Wimbledon, when I went back in my last, 20, 30 games and sat in front of the back 4 and protected them in the Premier League. So I started out as a midfield player.
So what was that like then, in front of the back 4, like you say then? Was it a bit, obviously it's quite different, but how did you get on in that position? Obviously, because I didn't obviously see much. So I've seen highlights and whatever else. I've never really seen anything.
It's because you weren't alive.
Yeah, obviously, quite like that. But cheers, mate.
I was spraying it around. I was like Pirlo. Yeah. All over the place.
I can imagine.
Hey? Winning all the headers. No, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I was technically I was okay. I could get on the ball and I was okay in that. And any long balls I could try and deal with, and I just tried to keep the back 4 up the pitch with me and see where we are. I was 37, 38, so I had a little bit of experience, and there was some young players in that Wimbledon squad at the time. So fair play to Joe. He saw me sitting in that role. It wasn't every week, because when I got to that age, I wasn't playing every week. But no, it was. I
bet you enjoyed the physical part of it, didn't you? In front of the back 4, the physical part of the tackling, and I bet you loved it.
What's your highlight of playing when you was with Luton Town? I know exactly where my highlights are when I've been watching Luton Town. What's your highlight when you've been playing for us? Could I?
Well,
Go on.
I honestly believe if I hadn't played for Luton Town at the time I did, I probably wouldn't have played for England.
Wow.
Because of the style of play, the football we were playing, the way we played, the way we went about our business, and we were just a good team to watch and all that, And I was fortunate enough to, as I said earlier, to play with some real good players. And in that process, we won the Little Woods Cup.
Yeah.
And that's one of the highlights of my career. Winning a major trophy for a football club that I love and the supporters, and doing that for them and being part of that team. That's the highlight of my Luton Town Football Club career, yeah.
Before we get into the Arsenal game, when you look back at the team you played with and you say how good they were and stuff, and this is quite a difficult question to answer, but how do you feel they would fare in modern day football in like the Premier League now? Do you reckon it's quite a tough one, but how do you reckon they'd fare?
We're all quite old now, so
You can't run around as much.
Yeah, he's done me that.
Senior, he dodged that question. Have you noticed?
Do you know, it's so good to see
getting on
someone
a
else
bit.
mugging.
How do I think would fare? I think players would adapt. I think players were very adaptable in those days. I personally think that we'd fare comfortably. One of the main reasons why I think we'd fare comfortably is because you're playing on. Listen, I played with Brian Steen and Ricky Hill and Mal Donaghy and Foster and Breaker and Thomas and Nicholas and Priest, and they were all Mark Steen, Emma Kanawajobi, Gary Parker. People forget about how good technically these players were and all that, and the pitches we played on, they were rubbish. They were awful.
Yeah, well,
And you see what they play on now. It's like when there's not a blade of grass out of place, and there's no bobbles and nothing jumping all over the place.
Yeah.
So personally, I see Luton Town as a team in the Premier League. I mean, quite comfortably finishing halfway up the league with the quality of play we had.
How do you think? I mean, we know the history of the plastic pitch.
The manager, yeah.
We know the history of the plastic pitch, Mick, right? You played on that quite a lot. How did you?
Yeah,
the opposition didn't like it, did they?
No, they didn't like it, not at all. Some of them did, some of them didn't. The majority of them didn't. What I used to do on a Friday night, when teams come down, they'd come down Friday afternoon, we'd finish training. What we used to do is if we played away from home, we train on grass all week. If we played at home, we train on the AstroTurf.
Wow.
In the week. So we'd mix it up. And on that season, on some of the seasons, our away record was excellent. So you can't really say the plastic pitch was an advantage. But I used to come down and watch them train, say Liverpool or Everton train on the pitch, or the teams would come down who travelled a long way. And you could see there was a bit of fear in them. They'd have five-a-sides on the pitch or passing drills and stuff. And you could see they were very, very tentative and very edgy on the pitch and all that, which played into our hands. We had a style of play of playing on that pitch. We wouldn't mess about. We'd get the ball long, we'd get in behind them, we'd test the back four, we'd have their back four running back towards their own goal, asking their goalkeeper in the back four to make decisions and stuff. And that's how we set up and set out. It wasn't the glorious football. When the game settled down, then I thought some of the football we played was excellent. But initially, it was turn them, stretch the ball, stretch the pitch, make the pitch big, create some space to play in.
Yeah, and I agree with that, because I hated when we first went to Queen's Park Rangers. I think when they laid the pitch first, and we went up there and we won 2-1. I hated plastic, and then the next season Luton had one. I think it gave us an advantage. I think it pushed us on a bit, but like you say, the quality of players I think would have played on a grass surface just as well as they did on the plastic pitch. And I look back at that time in my life and go, I see some great football and we've had some great success. It's been brilliant. And just can I head back to the cup final now?
Yeah,
just briefly.
Go for it. No, we need to touch on the cup final.
The Luton Arsenal final it had so many emotions for me as a fan, standing on the terraces at the upper terrace in Wembley. Taking the lead with a pretty decent goal, and then we had that spell where Arsenal equalised, and then they got that really, really at 2-1 up, and then they got the dodgy pen. The pen was never a pen in a million years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
At that time, were you still on the pitch then? You'd been subbed? I can't remember. But how did you feel when we were 1-0 up and literally I thought we're going to do this, and then 2-1 down and that penalty decision comes along? I'm thinking game over.
Well, you were playing against one of the best teams in the country, and we'd always give them a game, in a one-off game, we'd always be competitive, and we started the game really well and deserved to be on top.
Yep.
And they had a spell. I was still on the pitch. They had a spell. They had a spell where they could have gone and won 3 or 4-1. They had the chances they created, they dominated possession. They got the penalty. They created all kinds of chances, and Andy Dibble made numerous saves, and he was the man of the match, and deservedly so. And he kept us in the game. But that was the strength of our squad, the character that shone through. I came off, Mark came on. The substitutions Ray made was very, very good. And we went on and won the game deservedly so, overall, The game last 90 minutes, we went to the end. The goals were fantastic, and the substitutes played their part in it, really.
Yeah, and
I was absolutely thrilled and delighted, and deservedly so. And some of the performances on that day, especially Andy Dibble, was immense and incredible.
I think you need to look at not yourself, but you guys with me and anyone's listening or watching. You should look back at that and see how many brilliant world-class saves Andy Dibble made that day. Not just the penalty save. There were so many good saves. And the winning goal, actually, even that was a bit of class with the cross across to Steen. It was Grimes. Yeah. And my favourite bit of commentary ever from Brian Moore on the television when I rewatched it about 1 million times, and Luton are ahead in the very last minute. It'll take a monumental effort to get back in it now for Arsenal. And I'm thinking that was the highlight of my Luton career in the 80s.
Career.
Yeah, career. Well, I've joined the club now. Next saw this. I've joined the club.
Rubbish earlier. What are you talking about?
No, it was the highlight of.
It's been classed as one of the greatest ever League Cup finals, and it was an honour to play in it, and it was all action, and the final goal, the way Ashley, he's right-footed, he's gone down the right wing and he's crossed the ball with the outside of his left foot. Incredible ability and skill he had and all that, and it was a brilliant goal, and
the end where all the Luton fans, it was the end where all the Luton fans were as well, which is even better,
Yeah.
It was
and
brilliant.
If you wanted anyone to be on the end of it, maybe apart from me, when you got Steenie,
Steenie, yeah.
So what I want to know, Mick, is when you win a cup final like that, the celebrations must have been crazy, because nowadays it's quite hard for footballers to go out and have a few drinks to celebrate. But I imagine then it was seen quite normal and easy for you guys to go out and have a few beers.
Or more than a few.
We did more than that. Come on.
There we go.
We had something organised. The chairman and the board and the manager organised a night out at the Savoy. We all had rooms in the Savoy Hotel. So we had a big party down there, and myself and Fozzie and Steenie and Raquel all got on the stage and did our bits and pieces. And we just had a real fun night. We all got very drunk, and we had rooms there, and we all went to bed all very, very happy. Our partners were there. So it was just a brilliant, brilliant evening.
And you managed not to get kicked out of the hotel as well?
Well, I actually went home.
Oh, right.
I went home that evening. I got drove home. My son was very young then. He was born. He was only very, very young. So we went home because we had a babysitter.
Okay, then. I'll let you off then. As
It
I
was
say.
quite late when I went home. Trust me, it was quite late. Yeah.
Was there a lot of hangovers the following day?
Well, quite a few. Yeah, quite a few.
And then
Can I just say,
like when we won the league title.
I drank
Sorry, go on.
most of the day. I got back home after drinking on the way home on the bus we'd hired, and then we went to the pub, and then we went back and drank and rewatched the whole game. That's what I did.
Probably the best way.
I had a headache the next day.
I'm sure Gus Caesar did that all day as well, didn't he?
The following year we went to the final as well, didn't we? And we played Forest, and you scored the opening goal that day. And I'm thinking, here we go again.
Yeah.
It wasn't to be though. That was totally the opposite of the Arsenal game for us. I'm sure the same for you.
Oh, it was really disappointing. I mean, it would have been some achievement. Really played well in the first half, 1-0 up. deservedly so, in my opinion. And a penalty, another penalty changed the game. Went the wrong way for us this time.
Yeah.
Les, God bless his soul, he's come rushing out the box and rushing out of his goal and brought, I think it was Nigel Clough he brought down, I'm not sure. And Nigel took the penalty and scored, and they took over and really dominated, and they deserved to win all in all. But if Les stays where he is, it's a completely different game. But again, for us to get to Wembley 2 years on the spin, massive achievement, unbelievable achievement, great achievement, and for the football club and the town and supporters. Because
of the result the previous year, were the team like really confident going into that final?
Absolutely, yeah. We were a confident bunch. You know, we honestly believe, as I said, when we sat down half an hour ago, we could beat anyone on our day, anyone. Stick anyone in front of us, we'll have a go. And we had a plan, we had a way of playing, and we had a good leader in Fozzie, you know, and he was the glue who kept us all together. So, we believe we could beat anyone. Obviously, you know, you're going to come up against some really good teams, and the Liverpools of this world, the Evertons of this world, they were top teams and top players, and it was some great teams. And my biggest regret for when we played in that era was not being able to play in Europe.
Yeah,
that was my biggest regret. I thought we had a team that would be capable of playing in Europe, you know, and we were, after winning the League Cup, we'd have had automatic step into Europe, which wasn't allowed because I think it's because of the Heysel thing. But disappointing for us and the club and the town.
Yeah, very sad, because actually I think it would have been an absolute blast going to Europe and watching Luton Town and you guys playing. It would have been fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And I agree with you, Mick. I reckon we could have done something. We might have even got into a final of that trophy, because we were that good in them days. We were that good.
And we had an airport just down the corner.
Yeah,
yeah, that helps.
Imagine Barcelona away.
Wasn't part of the airport, was it really?
No, yeah, it wasn't much there. Do you know? Then you left us. What year would that be? 1990, 91? I can't remember.
You'll have to do the years. 91, I think. 91, 92.
Yeah, and then so you come back to play at Kenilworth Road. You're playing for Derby County. You've got Peter Shilton in goal. You know. And then you rise up and you head that ball in, and Luton are 1-0 up. Did you forget who you were playing for?
He couldn't get off the ground, Schultz. I told him so. He was at the end. He was at the end, Schultz. He was at the end. I never forget it. Jason Rees took the free kick. I've gone up to head it in my usual position. He used to put me in a zone, in a position where I was free to head the ball. So any corner or set piece which wasn't great, I'd go and attack it, and I just misjudged it. Now, whether that was intentional or not, I'm not sure. But I just misjudged it, and it caught the top of my mullet and flew in the top corner. You know,
it's a great goal. I genuinely thought you had a Luton shirt on that day.
The question is as well: did you celebrate in your own little head? Did you celebrate? You had to, surely.
Well, honestly, I was pleased Luton stayed up. Absolutely, 100%. Delighted that Luton stayed up in the, and that was it really.
What did your teammates say to you though, or did they not say anything?
Well,
or that you can say that we don't have to bleep out.
No. They honestly they knew Schultz's fault. I think they had to go Schultz.
Well, he actually doesn't. He doesn't really move.
You could get a Rizzler under his feet, you know. You could get one a Rizzler right under his feet. That was the way he was at the time. But no, top class goal. It was just another great header by me, you know.
You was always great headers, mate. Always great headers.
It was a great header, yeah.
Can I ask? Do you know?
Honestly, I can't remember what went on, but I'd have got a bit of stick, I'm sure.
Can I ask?
Worth it.
You know, we use, as fans, we use the word legend, you know, a lot for some people, and genuinely, whether you want to consider yourself one or not, you are one. And when I look at your career, the other thing that stands out for me, and every Luton fan, you was playing for Wimbledon at this point, the Watford goal celebration, where you just walk through them all. Now,
Batara was.
Yeah, go for it. You know, What do you think?
No, I just want to know, Mick, exactly what was going through your mind when obviously, when they're celebrating on the floor. I mean, don't get it wrong, like, big respect for that, but what was going through your mind at that point? Did you think, let's go a little trample on them and think, yeah, just show them how it's done?
I appreciate earlier what you said about the legend. It's very humbling and all that, but I find it difficult to, but thank you. I mean, that was probably one of the best things I ever did in terms of endearing myself to the Luton Town fans,
Yeah.
So I'm really proud, and I remember it vividly now. I was stood right behind, I think Tommy Mooney scored. Tommy Mooney's hit one, and I was right in line with it. And I looked at it, I went, oh, that's going in. So, and it's gone right in the top corner. It's a fantastic left foot half volley, about 25 yards out. And I thought that they equalised. We were 1-0 up and we were cruising. Should have been 4-5-0 up. I should have scored a couple. Oivan Leonardson should have scored a couple. It was an FA Cup game. Leo should have scored a couple and we should have been out of sight. And I thought, oh, no, not a replay or whatever, or we're going to get turned over here. So as I've turned round to walk back the centre circle, they've come in front of me. And I was totally pissed off and all that, And I just never give it a thought. I said, I just walked in my straight line back to where I was going to have the kick-off. And I thought, what the F and L are doing in front of me and all that, Were they having a go at me, or having a pop at me, because I'm ex-Luton or whatever. So I just carried on walking.
Yeah,
trampled all over them.
It's an absolute classic as well.
No. I wish I'd done a bit more damage.
Yeah, I was going to say, to be honest, every time you look at it, you can think, oh,
quite iconic. But I do remember it vividly, yeah.
Wouldn't get away with that nowadays with VAR and everything being reviewed, would you?
Well, no, not really, no. But it's...
you probably still would have done it, though.
I did intend to squash them and walk through them, yeah.
That is brilliant. There's been some really...
We beat them 1-0 in the replay, by the way.
Oh, I love that.
Good.
We beat them 1-0 in the replay. You've got to get that in.
Yeah, you have to. Any victory over Watford is worth talking about.
We are going to move on to Watford stuff in a bit, but There's been some nice comments said about you. We read online that Sir Alex Ferguson says he regrets not signing you for Manchester United. How does that feel hearing something like that from such a legend of the game and probably one of the best managers of all time, saying that he regrets signing you for Manchester United? Not signing him, sorry. Yeah.
Well, it's very humbling, and I feel very proud of that quote from Sir Alex, that he wanted to sign me in a certain season. He wanted when the pitches weren't great, he wanted to get the ball forward. He thought the ball... I've spoken to him about it. He said, I thought the ball would stick when the ball went forward and we could get around you and create chances. And so it was absolutely unbelievable. And, if it was nowadays, I'd have been a Man United player, because the agents would have heard it first. It was, it used to be manager to manager then. It was all a bit more discreet, where nowadays everything's more out in the open. And the agent would have found out first from the manager, from another manager. Say, look, we want to get Mick Harford up to Manchester. Let's do it. And I think Pleaty didn't want to sell me. Maybe the money wasn't enough. Maybe we were on a good run and we were doing well. Maybe for other different reasons. So
I think
I've got to be careful here, because I didn't really want to leave Luton Town Football Club, but I'd have loved to play for Manchester United at some stage in my career.
Well, to be fair, at the time, who wouldn't have done? You can't blame anyone for having that thought at all, because they were
the biggest club, weren't they? Still the same nowadays. I believe they are the best club in the country, and I always believe the best striker in the country should be playing for Manchester United. I really do.
Sad you didn't go, but glad you stayed for us. That's all I can say. Because actually, when you on your second spell with us, Mick, you went on your home debut. You scored 2 goals on that day, wasn't it? Oldham, I think Oldham at home.
Yeah, Oldham at home. Yeah, one was a tap in, and one was a goal which you don't really see me score. Overhead kick at the Kenilworth Road end. So really pleasing to come back and score 2 goals. Yeah, that was a good day. That was one of the good days of my career. Yeah. Really enjoyed that, and the place was full. The place was buzzing.
I do think we should touch on some Watford games as well. Like, we did just speak about that one when you played for Wimbledon, but playing for them for Luton's always, I imagine, exciting, and it's just something that the fans just love, these games, don't they? And this is what we missed for so many years when we were in the conference and going up the leagues. But what's it like playing in Luton Watford games? Because I imagine it's brilliant.
Well, yeah, the rivalry is intense, made absolutely by the fans. I'm a Sunderland fan, and Newcastle Sunderland is a big derby, so I absolutely 100% know what it means to the fans. And there is that little bit of extra pressure on you. You want to do best, you want to win for the fans, you want the fans to be happy, you want that feel-good factor. Two games that stand out for me is the FA Cup quarter-final or fifth round when Wayne Turner scored.
Yeah,
I think we had about two replays or one or two, and
it was two.
Thought it was never going to end. And then you get someone who doesn't score any goals, and a good little move, a typical Luton Town move, up, back and through, and Wayne through 1v1 against my mate Tony Kelton in goal, and he scores. Then the other game I remember was we played Luton at Luton Town. I'm not trying to be big-headed or blasé, but my best mate was in goal, and I scored 3 goals, past him on the bet, and 3-0.
Even better, isn't it?
I rang him. I actually rang him the night before and told him I was going to score.
A hat trick.
I spoke to him the night before, and I said, "You're in a bit of trouble tomorrow, Town. A bit of trouble tomorrow."
I bet you give him some stick after the
Finishing
game, didn't you, as well?
Training. Yeah, he got some. Yeah.
Well, again,
But Tony loved coming to Luton. Tony loved coming to Luton and watch Luton play. I'd ring him up and say, "Town, we're playing Arsenal tomorrow. Make sure you're down there tomorrow. We've got O'Leary and one or two others, We're gonna knock him about a bit,
Wow.
So he loved coming to watch Luton.
And last year was the first time a lot of our fan base would have seen a Luton Watford game. Like there's generations, it's a new generation of Luton fans that have never got to experience that. And it's obviously a shame that there was no fans for that home game last season when Colo scores that penalty. And I know this was made quite public before or in the lead up to the game that you spoke with the players and you told them the meaning behind the game. Is that like really true? How much did you have to like hammer home how important this was, or did the players kind of understand last season?
Well, I think as a group, as a manager, as a management group, we let them know how much it means to the football club, to the supporters, to Gary and the board and you guys. We know that, and we emphasise that. And I've got to be honest with you, it was an embarrassing. It could have been any score last year. We absolutely played out of our skin and all that, and fantastic performance. Overall, and I think the away game was probably one of our poorest performances. Now we only lost 1-0, but we just never got started. We never got going, and I think that played a part in the way we performed at home and all that. So it's some days they go for you. Some days in derby days are really strange and all that. You can be lethargic, or you can be right up for it, and that's why in derby days there's a lot of sending offs, there's a lot of trouble, there's a lot of bookings and stuff and all that. Or you can go out with a whimper.
Do you think Watford turned up that day maybe not expecting us to play like we did, because they're full of players that have played all over the world really in different countries? Do you reckon they turned up just thinking, it's Luton, we just turn up today and we'll beat them? They weren't expecting us to be that good.
Yeah, maybe, but I've got to be honest with you, Nathan, as he does every week, he hasn't prepared properly. We're a real honest bunch, and when we're at it in this league, teams find it really hard to contain us over periods of the game, over long periods of the game. And on that day, we were at it and all that. So I'm just putting all the praise on the lads and on the players and on the management. I thought on the day we were excellent on the day.
Was there any final words to Colo when he's getting ready to come on to take that penalty? Because to be fair, that must have been a big moment for him.
Well, it's massive, and you've seen it go the other way and all that, But fair play to James, he practices them every day. Every day after training, he'd have 5-6 penalties every day. So he knew what he was going into. He was well versed. He knew what it meant to everyone, and we were absolutely full of confidence. other managers wouldn't have done it, But Nathan had the belief in him, and he had the belief in himself to do it. So it was a real brilliant bit of management. And
he handled it very well as well. He handled that moment very well. I mean, we were all sitting there, weren't we, just going, "Oh Lord, he's got the ball. He's just walking onto the pitch. Is that a good idea?"
Dave celebrated so hard his tooth fell out, and he's still not got it fixed.
No, okay, thanks very much.
What Colo do? I mean, Colo's one of those. When he does it properly.
Yeah.
If he goes and warms up, he goes and warms up properly. And he won't do it half-hearted. You see these players pulling the thighs up and all that, water down, and half getting warmed up. When Colo did something, he did it properly. So we knew he was prepared. You knew he was ready. You know your players. You know he was. He knew what was coming. Well, I thought so anyway. I had every confidence in him.
And thoroughly deserved. Thoroughly deserved that day.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of doubt.
And for him, he's going to go down as a great centre forward for Luton. You look what he's done for the club. He was unreal for the time we had him, and to top it off with that goal,
yeah,
it's just brilliant for Colo, isn't it? Just to end everything like that.
Well, Colo left without blessings.
Yeah,
100%. He's been a loyal servant to the football club. I've got to be honest with you, I can't remember him missing a day's training. He'd go. I mean, he might have missed a couple of games here and there, but he'd come in. He trained like a Trojan. He was a leader. He was a winner. He was brave enough to take penalties, step up and do that, and he scored a major amount of goals and a massive part of our two promotions under Nathan and myself. Yeah. So it's he'll go down in folklore, in my opinion, for what he did for the football club over the 4 or 5 years he was at the club. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And look, you've been in Kenilworth Road when it's been completely full, and I just imagine that day was the only thing missing was the fans, because that roar when Colo scores that penalty and then at full time would have been unreal. It would have probably been the loudest it's ever been, wouldn't it?
It's a shame. It's a terrible shame. It was horrible. I mean, ideally you'd like it on Tuesday night, and he was kicking into the Kenilworth Road end, but unfortunately it was the polar opposite, really. There's no fans in, and he's doing it down the other end.
Yeah. So
it's a shame. It was a terrible shame. But yeah, you're right. It would have been amazing for the fans, for the football club, for everyone, for everyone to see it. But it was he showed a real strength of character to do that.
If we rewind a few years and back to when we were relegated to the conference, obviously you were in charge for that season. It was an incredibly tough time for everyone at the football club. But we had the joys of the Johnson's Paint Trophy, and I guess, was that a welcome distraction from the league? Because going into that season with 30 points deduction, do you have any hope? Do you have any actual real belief that it was possible to stay up, or was it always going to be a mammoth effort?
It was also a mammoth effort, but I had the belief we could do it. Obviously, we didn't do it. It was just too much for us, a step too far. The biggest thing for that was when you thought you were getting nearer and you lost, and the team above you won. It was a real body blow, a real body blow. And I think the players felt that and everything, But the thing that stands out for me was the beginning of the season when we were trying to recruit players with a 30-point deduction. And the players of the character we brought in, Tommy Craddock, Chris Martin, Mickey Spillane, Ian Roper, one or two others, the quality of the players that wanted to come to Luton and play for Luton with a 30-point deduction tells me everything about the football club. Tells me that it's a big club and people want to come and play for the football club. It's just it blew me away, in all fairness, the players we attracted. I mean, George Pilkington and people like that come and play for us. It was brilliant.
And to keep a few as well.
Reward.
I was saying, sorry, Mick, I was saying as well, obviously, to keep a few of those players as well, like say, obviously, good quality players. Obviously, the season after, obviously, in the conference, some of them level of players, unreal. Obviously, we thought straight away we're bouncing back. Obviously, it weren't to be, but yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it's real good football at times.
We tried to keep the squad together. Gary and the board are amazing. The immense to keep the academy going. No funding. That's what you. I mean, that's what you got to understand about the football club, the loyalty, the passion they show. They kept the club, they kept the academy going out of their own pockets. No one was funding it. No one was giving them any money. And that's why you got to take the hat off to them and that, you know. And I take my hat off to them. They did the right thing when they let me go. Absolutely 100%. It was the right time to go. After we lost to Stevenage at home, I thought maybe the right time, maybe get someone in here who knows this league, who's got the right credentials to get us out of the conference, because it's never ever easy. We were the big boys in there. Every team that come to Kenilworth Road, it was their cup final, and it was really tough. It took us five years to get out of that league, so you realise how tough it was. Went through numerous managers and numerous players, and eventually, thank God to John Still, he got us out of the league, and we indebted to him, you know.
Nowadays in football, Mick, you hear a lot of managers and players, and they always say, look, we're just focusing on the next game, and it's always just the next game, and it's never looking ahead. But when you're relegated to the conference, and maybe for a few players it's new to them and playing these teams, and for us fans as well, you're looking at teams like Barrow, no disrespect to Barrow, but in them days it was like, we should be beating these guys at home. Was it maybe like, did anyone ever look at it and go, this is going to be easy, or were you all genuinely quite like, actually it's going to be quite tough to get out of this league?
It wasn't me. I never thought. I mean, I think any football match you play is going to be hard, because the opposition are going to make it hard for you, especially nowadays. And nowadays, people are organised. They're more organised than they were years ago. You know, when I think the gap is closing in the lower leagues. I think the gaps are closing than they were years ago. And there might have been a bit of arrogance, but not whilst I was there. But it is a. You know, there was 8,000 at Kenilworth Road on a Saturday afternoon. I mean, players had never played in front of that in their lives, you know, and they turned up to a club that, I mean, 10 years previous they've been winning League Cups and in the Premier League in the top division, and it was a day out for them, and we'll go and enjoy this and we'll have a go.
And sometimes when we went away in that league, there would be more of us than the home fans there. You know, it was crazy times, absolutely crazy times. Before we got relegated, though, we had that one moment of glory at Wembley in front of 40,000 supporters. Again, you was in charge. I remember doing your Eric Morecambe dance at the end. What emotional day that was for me as a fan, and for all of us as a fans.
Well,
it
was a great day
to see that. You know, for us, that was like, well, having to go at Mawini at the start. To be fair, for me was important, because I felt that the FA let us down. But then to put one over them, you know, with a victory of that sort was fantastic. You know, what do you feel? What do you feel?
Well, it was one of the highlights of my career, I've got to be honest with you. Managing the team I love, with 40,000 fans there, all the board members, seeing the fans celebrate in what was an awful season in terms of the league. So, and a great performance, tough game, real tough game. Scunthorpe were doing well in League One and had some good players, so you knew it was going to be tough. But you know, the players put in a massive performance, led by Nico and all that. You know, and it was just a brilliant day for me and the football club and everyone connected.
I spoke to Tom Craddock last Christmas on our Christmas episode of the podcast, and he said when he slapped that Scunthorpe player, his first thought was, oh my God, Mick is going to kill me at half time. Did you see what had happened, and did you have a massive go at him?
I didn't see it, but I probably would have killed him. He maybe got a right-hander, something, you know, but it was... That's just the emotion of playing in big games, you know, big games with big crowds. You get carried away. You got to stay calm. You got to do the right things. Emotionally, you can get carried away, as I said earlier, and that's why when players play in big games, there's always something that happens. There's always a flashpoint. Always something kicks off. There's also sending off for a flashpoint in big games because of the occasion you're playing, and you have to control yourself.
So, Mick, going back to slightly just before the game, what were your thoughts and what were you saying to the players in the dressing room as you get there? You arrive, obviously, you do your preparations and whatnot. What were you thinking firstly, And what were your words to your players?
The words to my players was, I'll never forget this, was we were at the hotel and they knew what the team was. And I said to the 2 or 3 players who weren't involved, look, I'm really sorry. It's probably the biggest occasion of your career and you're not going to be involved or on the bench, so I apologise for that. One of them was Jake Howells. And secondly, I said, and I made an analogy of my team, Sunderland, because when I told you about Sunderland in the 1973 Cup final, in the first 5 minutes, there's a guy called Richie Pitt, and no one knows who Richie Pitt is. And Alan Clark had the ball on the touchline, and he's come through him and he's nailed him, and he's left a mark on him, you know. And for me, that is what won the FA Cup final for Sunderland. And that's what I said to our players. I said, whilst you're on that pitch, whatever you do, whatever time is on that clock, where you are on the pitch, what's going through your mind, just make sure each and every one of you leave your mark on this cup final. That's what I said to them.
Wow.
Brilliant.
And if you do that, and if we leave more marks on the pitch than they do, then we got a chance.
Just have no regrets and just go for it. Like you say, you have to leave your mark on everything that you do, really.
Yeah.
But brilliant.
It was a brilliant day, wasn't it? I know wasn't
great.
that old, but old enough to be there and remember it.
Makes
Thankfully.
me feel even older now. Thank you.
Well,
Oh, the turnout was immense.
Yeah.
Turnout.
You go back to obviously saying when you was obviously 14, 15 when you watched Sunderland in the Cup, but that was the same for us really, wasn't it? We was about the same sort of age,
Yeah.
14, 15 years of age. Obviously my first time at Wembley, and I just remember it, amazing day out, and obviously like every other single Luton fan that were there, it meant so much after such a, well, we're saying not a terrible season because the results obviously were there, but obviously the 30 points and whatever else went on.
Yeah.
It was just a little bit of something at the end that just to give it a little bit of hope.
Well, it's another Wembley final that Wembley final you're never going to forget as a fan, let alone a player and a manager, I would say. There were 3 great goals and a great atmosphere.
And that finish from Claude, wow.
Brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was something else, wasn't it?
And then if we
Long goal, was it?
not giving them the credit,
Don't let me hear you say that.
if we fast forward then, or even just rewind a few years when Nathan moves on in January and you take charge for the rest of the League One season, and I guess at that stage a lot of Luton fans were probably wondering how it was going to go, but the momentum for us to carry on the form that Nathan had built for that first half of the season under your leadership again was amazing, wasn't it, to get us into the Championship?
Yeah, I mean, all credit to the players. The players are the ones who go on the pitch and carry out the orders, and they got on with it. Obviously, they were upset. Nathan was a real popular manager, and no one saw it coming. But we reorganised. We got things in order, and I mean, a lot of the staff left. I mean, Paul had already left. Paul Hart had already left. Then, obviously, the first team coach left and the fitness coach left on the same day as Nathan. So we were really short on staff and all that, you know. So we needed a bit of reorganisation behind the scenes, which we did pretty quickly, and things worked out quite well.
That game up Sunderland was amazing atmosphere again for us, I thought. Have I mentioned to anybody on the podcast that I flew there?
Yeah, you
It's every week, Dave.
I flew to the Sunderland game via Dublin because it was cheaper than getting the train.
I bet your arms were sore, weren't they?
Yeah.
Should have joined us this weekend, Dave, really.
Yeah, you should take a job on this stage. Yeah, it was amazing though.
And we touched on it earlier and we said the word togetherness, but do you reckon it is that togetherness then that we put ourselves in such a good position? And I remember players talking in their post-match interviews, and I think like Sonny Bradley said it, like, we're not going to let this slip now, and I think like Elliot Lee said it and Luke Berry said it, but was it that togetherness that got us over the line?
It's absolutely 100% is a massive part of it. You know, every club I've been at or teams I've played in, the most successful ones, you got to have that camaraderie, you got to have the spirit, you got to have the togetherness, whatever you want to call it. If you haven't got that, you got no chance. For me, that's the biggest part in football, you know. You boys stick together, whatever goes. If you go 1-0 down, 2-0 down, you still believe in yourselves. And they had that belief. Listen, there were good players in League One, and we had a structure, we had a way. Nothing got changed. We carried on playing the way we were. We had a default shape to go to when we come under a little bit of pressure. So all in all, we just kept things ticking over. Just the big thing, there was a change of staff behind the scenes, which no one really saw,
Right. And you know what? The success of that season, it just made you really proud to be a Hatter. Really proud.
Well, that Portsmouth game under the lights.
Unreal.
We spoke to George Moncur last year on the podcast, and he said it was one of the best first halves he's ever seen or ever played in. Like we were unreal that first half against Portsmouth, weren't we?
Some of the football was incredible on that evening. It belied the level, in all fairness, and the surface of the pitch and all that. It was just incredible. It should have been 4-5-6-0. It could have been quite comfortable. But that never happens. When you, but it just builds confidence in the team, in the squad, and gives you that belief. And you can always go back to it and always remind them of that evening. Look, this is the levels you're at now, and we need to keep at these levels. And this is where we're at. We've come this far. Don't let it slip.
Is that the night that we hit the top of the table, or we sort of pushed it up, and we never once we hit the top, we never came down from the top?
No.
That's amazing, and there's not many other clubs that could say that. It was an amazing season, and
And how did it feel lifting that trophy in that final game of the season? Because that must have been just, you look back at the whole year and relief and the hard work and that togetherness and the spirit. That must have been an amazing feeling in front of the fans.
I honestly, I've had my career. I was just so happy. Firstly, for the players. Secondly, for the fans, because what you guys have been through, it's absolutely immense and all that. The ups and downs of being a Luton Town fan, and just to see the smile on their faces, on the pitch, in the stands, and the joyous. It was unbelievable. It was absolutely unbelievable. See everyone smiling at Kenilworth Road again. It was just brilliant. And someone put a scarf around my neck and all that, and I thought, I just used the scarf, the orange and white scarf, and I was just so proud to be part of Luton Town Football Club that day. And we were brilliant on the day against Oxford, and we played really well. And I just wanted to finish the season off and win the league. That was my emphasis all week. I'm sure the boys went out on Thursday night or Wednesday night and had a few drinks, but we got that out of them on the Friday, and they played exceptionally well on the Saturday and won 3-1. And I just wanted to win the title. I didn't want to finish second. I wanted us to win the title.
And we did, and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's, again, I now keep saying this. Another legendary moment for us as fans, and you as the manager there. That was great.
Well, Mick, before we let you go, we wanted to touch on the amazing work the club are doing and all your colleagues are doing at the moment for prostate and raising money and awareness and stuff. And it's a great thing, I guess, for you and for everyone, for them to be supporting this.
Well, again, it makes me very proud to be part of Luton Town Football Club and be part of such a great club. It's very humbling what the staff are doing and all the people who are trying to help me. It hasn't been a great experience for me over the last 12 months, I've got to be honest with you. And it just makes me feel a hell of a lot better. Gives me a great sense of pride. Gives me a drive and a bit of ambition to try and get over this illness. So it's something which I really, really appreciate from everyone. Every last penny that everyone gives to prostate cancer. Every card and every message I get, I really, really appreciate it, really do. I might not be able to reply to every one of them, but honestly, I really appreciate all the help and support I've had.
And again, I just think this sums up Luton Town Football Club and that togetherness between staff, players, fans, management, and it's just that real togetherness which I think the club just brings.
It's an honour to work at the football club. It's an absolute honour, led by Gary Sweet and the board. It's an honour to be part of it, to see what's happening, and a new stadium on the horizon, and the team doing well, and hopefully we'll get 3 points tonight. It's just a great club to be part of, and I can't wait to get back into work. I won't be in for a while yet, but it's just a great club to be part of, and there's a good feel factor there, and there's what I'd call an honesty about us. There's a real honesty about us.
Yeah, and do you know what? If you're not at the ground, then you should know that every week you're at the stadium, or every game that we're playing at, your name gets called out every week. Everyone is hoping that you can battle this and get through it all and come out the other side and see us at Power Court, where you unveil that statue to that Luton legend.
Yeah, that's it.
Steve Foster.
Well, Mick, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a brilliant insight into your career and your life. And thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, and thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Can I just say, Mick, before we go as well? Obviously, I don't. Well, obviously you don't know, but I don't usually cry. But when we got promoted the other season, I might have shed a few tears. So thanks for that. I cried in front of a few people. Well, cheers, man.
Thanks for the support. Yeah, amazing.